Konami is about to have a massive 2025 with the Metal Gear Solid franchise, because this is the year we finally are going to be getting the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Snake Eater. And there are also a couple of other games that could be coming within the Metal Gear Solid franchise, and what this could actually mean for the future of the Metal Gear Solid franchise going forward. So please like the video so it reaches more people, and subscribe for all new updates on the Metal Gear Solid franchise. So now in 2025, on February 27th, 2025, we are going to be getting the release of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and it will be from the ground up using the original voice cast. Everything about this game has been uphauled as it's being developed in Unreal Engine 5 with brand new lighting effect, brand new modern day controls, and incredible attention to detail like ripped clothing, mud and blood stains, and an update to its inventory system and healing. Now yes, this is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3, as this is the first chronological game in the Metal Gear Solid franchise, which means it's likely that Konami has planned to remake the entire series, starting with Snake Eater and perhaps remaking Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker next. So what's next after the Delta Snake Eater remake? Well, in September 2024, Konami confirmed that they are working on Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2, but they didn't confirm what's going to be in this collection. From the Master Collection Volume 1, we got Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3. It also features bonus content like graphic novels, digital books, and also the Metal Gear Solid digital soundtrack. So it is confirmed that in 2025 they are working on the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2, and it's likely that Volume 2 will contain Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, Metal Gear Solid 4, and Metal Gear Solid 5, along with Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. And this would be huge because it will be the first time that Metal Gear Solid 4 is actually playable on anything other than the PlayStation 3. This collection could also contain a bunch of other Metal Gear Solid games too, like Metal Gear Rising, Metal Gear Solid The Twin Snake, Metal Gear Solid Portable Lot, Metal Gear Survive, and even Metal Gear Acid 1 and 2. So that is a lot of games that they could include within Volume 2, or they could even stretch it out to a Volume 3. And although he didn't confirm Metal Gear Solid 4 for Volume 2, however, in a recent IGN interview to discuss the upcoming Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater, Konami producer Noriaki Okamura teased Volume 2 and its inclusion of Metal Gear Solid 4. When asked directly about bringing Metal Gear Solid 4 to modern consoles, Okamura replied, "We definitely are aware of the situation with Metal Gear Solid 4. Unfortunately, we can't really say too much at the moment with Volume 1 containing Metal Gear Solid 1 to 3... You can probably connect the dots. Right now, we are still internally concerned about what we should be doing for the future of the series, so sorry, we can't really reveal anything at the moment, but stay tuned." So he basically hinted at Metal Gear Solid 4, and of course that would be the next game within the collection, as it just makes sense, as I can't see Volume 2 having now already been announced officially by a Konami producer, not containing the next game in the numbered lineup. So expect Metal Gear Solid 4 for Volume 2, which could likely be announced in 2025 and maybe even released. But Okamura also spoke about the future of the series, and where of course after the release of Delta Snake Eater, we have to think about what's next. And that team that's working on Snake Eater Remake is of course going to work on whatever's lined up next that Konami want to produce. And it seems like they already have a plan in remaking these Metal Gear Solid games by naming Delta Snake Eater Remake Delta in the first place, to kind of start from scratch by removing the 3 so that new players would feel comfortable jumping in. And we actually got some words by Okamura about what it would take to remake Metal Gear Solid 1, which has had rumors behind it stating that Metal Gear Solid 1 is in development and it's a very ambitious project. And it's very convenient that Okamura here, when speaking to Famitsu, also claims that the game would be very hard to remake, and they would have to take a different approach in remaking the game compared to remaking Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. From GamesRadar.com, producer Noriaki Okamura said if the team were to remake the original Metal Gear Solid or MG1 or MG2, some aspects wouldn't work with the same methodology as Metal Gear Solid Delta, including the redesign of the levels. Okamura elaborates that several parts would have to be created anew if Konami were to revisit the OG Metal Gear Solid or the even older top-down solidless Metal Gears compared to the method they used for Metal Gear Solid 3's remake, which retains the same basic layout as the 2004 source material, only with a 2024 facelift. Metal Gear Solid Delta developers even went so far as to say the remake is almost too faithful to the original. I can't imagine they retain Metal Gear's camera angles with the same enthusiasm. Okamura was also quick to point out that the team wants to see how Metal Gear Solid Deltas is received before moving on to future games in the series. Konami is focused on preserving everything that's come before now. At the time, the number of staff who work with the original team has decreased considerably. Okamura continues, before anyone else is gone, we want to create a path to preserve the Metal Gear series for the next 10 or 50 years. Fellow series producer Yuji Koresume added that they want to make all MGS games playable on PC so people can access them 10 or 20 years from now, which is in line with the company's comments on Metal Gear Solid 4's re-release. So of course Konami is waiting to see how well Metal Gear Solid Delta does before they start to go in full production with the next game, but it's likely that it is going to be a major success. And yes, remaking Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 won't be as easy as it was to remake Metal Gear Solid 3, not that it was easy at all. It would literally have to be a from the ground up remake, and it seems that's exactly what they are doing. Just last year in 2024 January, Spanish news website Areajugones, who correctly leaked the God of War DLC, had an exclusive rumor about the Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, who states that several sources tell us that Konami is still working on a remake of the first installment, although right now Metal Gear Solid Delta is the priority for the studio. Months ago, one of our sources told us exclusively that several things were brewing about the future of the Metal Gear saga. In particular, he announced that a remake of the first installment of Metal Gear was being developed to be announced throughout 2023. Indeed, this did not happen, but it is quite true that Konami has had several things in store, announcing a collection of the first installments, the one known as Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, and also Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta as a remake of said delivery. In question, these voices say that the remake of the first installment of Metal Gear Solid is in production in one of its first phases, and that Konami has had it in mind as one of its most ambitious projects for the coming years. If Metal Gear Solid Delta sees a launch in 2024, the remake of the first installment could well be the next big project on the horizon. It doesn't sound unlikely at all. And this just makes sense with what Okamura said, with him saying how big of a task Metal Gear Solid 1 would be to remake. And it makes sense that Konami is waiting for the results of Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Snake Eater before they go into the second and third phase with the first installment of the series. But it seems like it's a very long way away as of now, but I certainly believe that this will be happening, and in 2025, hopefully upon the success of Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake, they will ramp up production, go to the next phase of production with the Metal Gear Solid 1 Remake, and if that takes around 4 to 5 more years or 6 years maybe to remake from the ground up, then likely within that time, we'll get the next game in the chronological order of the series, being Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which would be a much easier remake and would make sense as it is the next game in the saga chronologically. And it would also be nice to have Peace Walker as a full AAA experience and a proper console game from the ground up, likely retaining its original voice cast, just how Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake is. So it seems like Konami's plans for Metal Gear Solid are huge, and it was just 2 years ago when I made the first Metal Gear Solid plans video back in 2023, where there was nothing Metal Gear Solid confirmed, and we were just speculating and hoping and looking at the rumors of Metal Gear Solid 1 in development, and now it seems it's further along away, and we are finally getting a brand new Metal Gear Solid game, or a remake I should say, within the series, and it seems like Konami's plans are quite big for the Metal Gear Solid franchise. And I think it's only right to mention Hideo Kojima's brand new action espionage game known as PHYSINT, which we have some new details on. The casting and scanning for the game got a bit delayed due to the SAG-AFTRA strike, but it will resume in 2025. However, Death Stranding 2 and OD are the much bigger priorities for Hideo Kojima at the moment, since those are the games that will be coming first. This new action espionage game PHYSINT is going to be an action espionage game which is going to be the spiritual successor of the Metal Gear Solid series and will blur the lines between cinema and gaming. The game is also being developed in collaboration with Sony, and production of PHYSINT is planned to begin after the release of Death Stranding 2 on the beach in 2025. So that is everything that's going on in 2025 in regards to Metal Gear Solid and also Hideo Kojima's new action espionage game. As soon as we get brand new details, we'll be covering them on this channel. Please like the video so it reaches more people, and subscribe, and please go ahead and check out my brand new channel at Balboa Mania Infinity, where we cover brand new superhero game update, like the potential upcoming Superman game that is likely in development by WB Montreal. I've also got my past Metal Gear Solid 1 remake videos in the description, as well as my Cyberpunk Cyberpunk 2 and a Witcher 4 video, and please browse the channel at your leisure because we talk about so many amazing games, and I hope to see you on my next videos. Take care, guys.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign.